Hello, Darthvegan here, and today I want to bring you some tips and tricks I've picked up while playing Starbase, and I hope that these tips and tricks will be helpful to you, and if they are, be sure and hit that like button. It really helps the channel, and I really appreciate it. So the first tip I want to talk about is what we're looking at here. This is the third-person camera, and your ability to do emotes while you're in third person. Well, you can do them while you're in first person as well, but you don't actually see them. But in order to get into third person, you hold down the Alt key and use your mouse wheel to scroll in and out. And that's it. Second tip is emotes. So if you bring up the chat menu and you do a backslash, you can then do push-up. You can make your character do push-ups. You can do clapping if you want your character to clap. Oh yeah. You can do a little dance. Alright, so whenever you hit the escape key, you may have seen this insurance transfer button, and you're like, what does insurance transfer do? Well, what it does is it allows you to fast travel to different locations that you've discovered. So if you come up to this screen, this was in the Easy Build Hall, for example. You come up to the screen, you can see I have these different bonds put onto my fast travel. So if I want to go to any of these positions, I can bring up the insurance transfer and click on that position, and I can fast travel to that location. Now you have to first discover this these screens around, and these are the ones that I have discovered. One at the mining job, one at the dev ship shop, and one at the Sunny Ship Center, and one at Easy Build. So you can go to any of those locations by using the escape key and easy insurance transfer to that location. Now, keep in mind that if you are away from the station and on your ship, it does not transfer your ship. It only transfers you, so be careful. This brings me to my next little tip, and that is scavenging. If you are spending any time in the game at all, you will find trash floating around all the time. And one great thing about it is you can disassemble the trash and keep it. Now, if it's a module that is put together, I can't seem to pick it up while I'm in the Easy Build location, but outside floating around freely I can. But something that you find a lot of are these depleted fuel rods, and sometimes you even find full fuel rods like this guy. I'm just going to pick him up, and that will go into your inventory, and if you don't have inventory slots, it will go directly into your storage. As you can see here, look at all these fuel rods I've picked up. I haven't constructed any of those fuel rods. Those are ones I have just scavenged from in and around the station. So I even pick them up even if they're empty, because guess what? You can refill fuel rods on your own, and that brings me to my next tip. If there are modules put together like this, you won't be able to pick it up until you disassemble the module. So if we bring out our bolt tool here, and we take the bolts out of here, I can then start to take these individual parts apart and then pick them up. So if I take all the bolts out of this thing, I can then start to grab all of this stuff, and you can just sit here and take apart the entire assembly with both your bolts and your welder. And then you'll have all these free parts if you want to start to customize your own ship. If you come into the Easy Build station, if you haven't created your own crafting bench, you can come to the Easy Build station. You press H to enter the crafting mode, and you can come down to power, and you can see here that there's 3 different options for fuel rods. There's one where it's just the fuel rod. It's empty, and it takes 3 different mineral types: vocarium, agitite, and bastium. Then there's the full fuel rod, which takes nergite, vocarium, agitite, and bastium. And then the last one is to refill empty fuel rods, which is nergite. And since I just picked up that empty fuel rod, I can just refill it right here. And now I have an extra fuel rod that I can use in my travels. If you're saying, well, I don't have the option to do any fuel rods in my crafting menu, well, you may have to hit the K menu to bring up your research. And you can find here that down here on this tier, 4th tier down here, you can find fuel rods. And you have to unlock this first in order to build or refill fuel rods. So first you'll need to unlock the basic modules, then the cargo modules, and then you can unlock the fuel rods. And in order to unlock all of these things, it takes a various amounts of research. And the manner in which you get research, you got the material research, energy research, mechanical research, and then defense research, which I don't have any of. The way you get research is by doing crafting. So if you look at some of these modules here, let's go to the basic ones. You can see that by doing this research, it gives me 22. This one gives me 22. This one gives me 22. This one only gives me 8. So if you look at the ship modules and you do research on them, you will get points for doing that research based on the, I guess, the difficulty of how it is to craft it. If you look down at crafting benches here, if you do research on the basic crafting bench, that will give you enough research to do several tiers of research in one go. So I highly recommend researching or doing a basic crafting bench first before you do the any other crafting for research purposes. That way you can get this nice big chunk of research all in one go. Now keep in mind it is pretty expensive ore wise, so you'll have to go out and do quite a bit of mining, but it is worth it. Alright, so as you fly around and gather materials in your beginner ship, you will notice that you are constantly losing fuel in your fuel chamber. So if you're stopped and doing mining, be sure and turn your generator off. But then of course you'll have to remember to also turn it back on whenever you get ready to do more traveling. But one thing to remember is as your generator is running and you're consuming fuel, there is a way to make your fuel rods burn more efficiently. So you can see that my battery is completely full right now. And when you first get your labor module, you come in here, hop in the pilot seat, look at the generator button, and hit U. That will bring up your little control panel here. Hit tab, go to your data module, and you can see here, button on state value. Now in your beginner module, I have mine set to 47 because I have more than the original 2 engines. The original labor module ship, you want to set that to 23 and then just type in 23 and hit enter. What that will do is that will reduce the amount of fuel that your generator is consuming, but it will still keep your batteries charged and you hit U to close that interface again. It'll still keep your batteries charged and fuel your 2 thrusters that you have, but be sure to hit the generator, turn it off, and then turn it back on. And then you'll see here that the generator unit rate will only go up to 23. And that's the amount that you need for your ship when you first get started to use less of your fuel. And it will make your fuel rods last a lot longer. So you'll see it stops here at 23. And then as I fly, my batteries will deplete and they will get recharged and it uses a lot. My fuel chamber fuel is decreasing by a lot less. All right, something else on your ship is your actual fuel rod. So as you can see here in the back of your module, you have this little container. This is your generator right here, and inside it is your fuel rod. To get your fuel rod out, you hit E to pick it up, and then hit P to put it into your inventory. So you can see, well, I didn't have room in my inventory, so it just went into my station inventory. But then if you need to put another fuel rod in the ship, you fly back here, and in the back you have a little rack here with fuel rods. So you hit E to take it out of the rack, and you bring it up here, and then you place it into the generator. Just wait for it to snap in. If it doesn't snap, you may have to hit the C button to turn on snapping. Just like that. Let it snap in, and then hit the E button, and it'll keep it there. And then you can see, if we hop back into the pilot seat, my fuel rod chamber fuel is now 100%. Alright, so another question I frequently see is, what is this durability error that I'm seeing? So if you are in your ship and you're seeing a little error message down in the chat window that says durability error, then that means something on your ship is broken, or you have overloaded your ship in some way. So if we bring up the U menu again, and then we hit the tab key, and you look at the blueprint tab up here, so you click on the little blueprint tab. Over here on the right, there are 3 icons. One for the blueprint filler, one for body durability, and one for frame durability. So if we click on body durability, you can see as we look around, everything is green. Well, if you have a module that has been damaged, it will show up here as not green. It'll show up as red or yellow, depending on how badly it is damaged. So right now, one of my tier 1 generator fuel rods apparently has some damage. It's probably one that I picked up from Scavenging. But anyway, so that's how you look at the module durability. If you want to look at your frame durability, you can see that any areas of stress are going to be lighter color, and then areas that are in good shape are like a darker blue color. You can see that I have quite a bit of stress here in this area because I have all of this weight, and then all of these thrusters are exerting force on all that weight. So I had to add in some additional supports in order to keep this thing from breaking. If you're out mining and you have run out of room in all of your cargo spots, and you still have a little bit, just a little bit more ore that you need to capture, then you can go into your menu here, and you see these ores in my container. If you left click on it and drag it outside the window, you'll drop that ore out into a block form. You hit E to pick it up, you fly over to your ship, wherever you want to put it, and you let it snap. Again, if it doesn't snap, press C. Hit E again. It will place it there on your frame. You bring out your bolt gun, and you hold down left click, and you'll put down bolts on there that will allow you to fly around with your ship with some extra ore. Now be careful, because it can cause durability issues. So if we look here and look around, looks like it's okay actually, but when you first put it on there, you should see a durability issue. So let's take the bolts off, and then we can pick it back up, and you hit P and it'll go back in your inventory. So if we put it back out there again, place it on our ship, okay, and then we bring up our menu and we look at our durability. You can see this thing is not happy. If we put one bolt in, you can see now it is attached to our ship, and the ship has a durability error because this thing is just barely hanging on to our ship. It's just barely hanging on. Put in another bolt, still not good. Another bolt, still not good. It's still red. Use the auto bolter and it will fit right in and be perfectly safe to at least fly back to the station. Now you can see it's still red. Why is it still red? I thought you said it'd be safe. Well, it's red because I have it hanging off, and you couldn't put all the bolts that are ideal for holding on a little bit of ore. So if we put it here in the ship proper so that it's touching especially the frame, there we go. Now we got plenty of bolts in there and it's turned green. We can fly back safely without causing durability issues to your ship. Alright, so once you have gone on a mining trip and you are heading back to the station and you think, what am I supposed to do with all this ore? Well, you can do a couple different things with it. You can save it up for crafting, like I do typically, and you can just bring it over here and then drag it over into an empty spot in your station inventory, and it will deposit it there. You can head over to these ore storage towers, with your ore in your ship, and you see each one of these little platforms, you can connect to any of those platforms there. You hop out of your ship, and if you're already tethered to your ship, like you should be at all times, go ahead and fly over to this resource bridge on the station. Press F, and you will connect your ship directly to the station. And you should see over here connected signs, and it will refill your batteries, but not your fuel rods. All right, but you can also refill your propellant. So if you come over here and you hit max, it will refill your propellant for credits. So it'll cost me 39 credits to refill my propellant back to full. So you always want to keep your propellant topped off. At least I do. And then if you have ore inside your ship, you come over here to the ship tab, and you can see the ore that is currently in my ship. You simply click on it, left click, and it will sell it. Now it doesn't give you any warning, so be sure you're clicking on the right thing. Click on it, sell it, and we got some extra credits. You can also go into your storage this way, and you can sell ore directly out of your storage as well. But be careful, because you might accidentally click on the wrong thing. So just be sure and click on only the ore that you want to sell. Speaking of selling, there is an auction house that you can use to buy and sell things to other players. Now, if you use this ore storage, you can sell directly to the game, so to speak. But if you want to sell to players, you can sometimes get better prices for things. And if you want to do that, you can find the auction house on the station, or if you're within the station somewhere, you can simply press the comma key, and that will bring up the auction house interface. Now you have the buying tab up here, you have the selling tab, and then you have the auctions tab for any current auctions that you have. And speaking of all of the modules that we found, some of these can be sold. So if you want to, you can go into sell. You can drag items over this little window, and if it's kind of got this light yellow greenish frame around it, that means you can sell that item. And then you can see that other people have similar items for sale, and then the prices they're charging for that. So one guy has a three-way beam for 1 credit. 30 people have the same item for 2 credits, and such and so forth. This is a great place to come in, grab your fuel rods that you've been scavenging, refill them yourself, and then drag them over, and then you can sell them. So you can see the top price right now is 340. So if we snipe that a little bit, let's go down to say 320. I'll have there's a 10% tax, and I'll have a profit of 288. So I'm gonna go ahead and create an auction for that, and then I can get a few extra credits, and I don't have to have so many fuel rods in my storage area. If you want to buy things, you can come into these different areas, and then there's things that you can buy. And once you buy them, they will automatically appear in your inventory here. So if you have a bunch of empty fuel rods, but you haven't been able to find any Nergite ore, because Nergite is a little bit uncommon. It's not hard to find. I mean, it's a little hard to find, but you can generally find it around 30 kilometers away from the station. And it's generally encased in ice, which is kind of the grayish looking material. But if you can't find any, and you have empty fuel rods, I highly recommend coming in here, buying 1 stack. It's usually around 3,000 credits of Nergite crystal. And then you can go and craft and refuel fuel rods on your own. And then you can either sell them, or you can just save them for your own use. Alright, so I hope this has been useful for you. If it has, be sure and hit that like button and go out there and go mining and do some research and build your ship and have fun. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.